I've been a chiropractor for some 32 years and a classical homeopath. We're going to be talking exclusively today about classical homeopathy, my favorite topic. The purpose of this show is to introduce you to alternative practitioners so that you can make a more informed decision about what kind of medical care you would like to have. Nowadays, everybody chooses allopathy, which is pharmaceutical medicine, but there are some 7 different branches of medicine, including chiropractic, homeopathy, nutrition, herbology. There are body techniques, there's talk therapy, and of course, there's allopathy. Homeopathy has been around for some 200 years, and there are 2,000 books on the subject. The United States has fewer homeopaths than most countries. We have maybe 300 to 500. Other countries have 14,000. India has 250,000. India has 200 colleges of homeopathy. In France, you can specialize as a homeopath once you are an MD. And homeopathy is also very popular in Holland, England, Germany. Brazil has some 14,000 MD homeopaths. Argentina, some 8,000. So this is a topic very few Americans know about, but we're going to teach them something about it today. My guest today is Myra Nissen, and she's been a classical homeopath for how long, Myra?
About 6 years.
6 years?
Yeah.
And you love it?
I love it.
Yeah? Where do you practice?
I practice in Walnut Creek.
Great. And we'll get your phone number and your website address soon. What is homeopathy?
Oh, well, you said it pretty well. It's a system of medicine that stimulates the body's self-healing mechanism. It uses minute doses of substances found in nature to elicit the body's healing response.
And because the doses are so minute, scientists have trouble with it.
They do.
But shouldn't we really base the efficacy of our medicines on the results?
Well, we should.
And not always on knowing how they work? I mean, there are many herbs that have been working in many countries for a long time, but those people don't know how they work, but they know what herb to give. And if they don't see a harmful effect from it, they keep giving it.
Well, that's true.
Right? So, wish it was that way with homeopathy, but our culture wants to know exactly how everything works. Where did you study?
I studied at the Pacific Academy of Homeopathy in San Francisco, which was a 3-year program.
And how does homeopathy work? Care to venture?
Well, we don't really know exactly how it works, but there's growing studies to demonstrate that it does work. But it works by eliciting the body's self-healing capacity to resolve illnesses.
Why do they say like cures like?
Well, that's the way that the property of the remedy works. If you think about coffee, for example, if you drink a lot of coffee, you're going to have trouble sleeping. And there's a homeopathic remedy made out of coffee called cafea, and that remedy can help cure insomnia.
And what happens if you didn't have insomnia and you took that remedy all the time?
Well, if you took that remedy all the time, you'd develop insomnia, most probably.
Right, because it will produce the same symptoms in a healthy person as it can remove in the ailing person.
That's right.
That's a great principle. Homeopathy has been used by a lot of famous people.
Yes, it has.
Like who?
Yes, well, Mahatma Gandhi is
Yeah.
very famous. There's a lot of quotes from him.
Can I say a quote?
Yes.
He said, I had this printed up one time and on a plaque, and I gave it to an Indian homeopathic friend of mine. Gandhi said, homeopathy is the most effective branch of medicine with the greatest number of cures. It is the most economical and is the most researched. What do you mean by research?
By research? Those are the studies that have been done on the efficacy, as you were saying, in the epidemics, the various epidemics throughout history, and how homeopathy has proven effective in cholera epidemics and influenza and typhoid and many others throughout the generations it's been around.
What are some other famous people who have used it?
There's, thank you, Henry David Thoreau and Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
And the British royal family, they actually have their own homeopath. And Jennifer Aniston.
Oh, yeah.
And Everett Koop, who's the founder of modern medicine.
So I get to tell my Everett Koop story
Yep.
now. Everett Koop went to a radio station to do a show on AIDS. He wanted to be the person who really changed the state of AIDS on the world today. He got to the radio station, and the announcer told him, "We're not going to be talking about AIDS today." He said, "What do you mean? Why not?" He says, "Well, a couple of hours ago, before you came, these guys came and told me that I can't talk about AIDS, and that if I do, I'll be in big trouble."
Wow.
At which point, Everett Koop was wondering, who's really the Surgeon General here? Is it him, or is it the pharmaceutical companies?
That's right.
So that wasn't too good.
Wow.
Yeah. I think Mick Jagger used homeopathy at one time, too. And there's a number of actresses that the homeopaths in Hollywood get to treat.
Right.
Why did you choose homeopathy as a healing modality?
Well, when I was 19, I wanted to find a way to overcome the chronic allergies that I had as a child that kept me from being outdoors because I wanted to be an archaeologist. And I found homeopathy, and in a very short time, I was able to lose those allergies and go on and be an archaeologist for 15 years.
Oh, yeah? Maybe you could have dug up some old remedies.
I could have. I dug up a French snuff box.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Wow. You know about the anatomical snuff box? When you move your thumb in a certain way, you can create a little dent right there. That's where they used to put it.
Yeah.
And so it got into the anatomy books that way. How do you make a remedy?
Well, a remedy is made from minute doses of natural substances, which are made with a repeating dilution and succussion.
And what is succussion?
Succussion is a rapid shake with a bang on the end of it, like that.
Right.
And it's that repeated diluting and succussion that's thought to give the homeopathic remedy their effectiveness.
So somehow it knocks the energy of the original substance into the water that it's floating in?
That's right. And it's caused...
That's it?
Well, that's one theory, and it's called potentization.
Potentization. In the old days, there was a guy who wanted to sell remedies. He made them. And his advertisement was that he was a muscle man. And he claimed that his pounding on leather books was stronger than anybody else because of his muscles. And that's how he wanted the remedies to be sold. Yeah. So what is approving?
Approving? That's how they decide what a homeopathic remedy will help. And it's not done in animals. There's no animal testing. But what happens is a group of people who are healthy take the homeopathic remedy until they start to develop symptoms. And for some people, it might be immediately, and other people might have to take the remedy several times. And then those symptoms that they develop are documented very carefully. And then they're compiled, and that's how they know what a remedy can help.
Okay, so these people overdose on this remedy, kind of, and then they become symptomatic, and the same symptoms that they get are the same symptoms that the remedy can cure in somebody who already has them.
That's right.
Yeah, like cures like.
Like cures like.
You know the Latin for that?
No, you tell me.
I had a T-shirt, so
Oh, yeah.
I memorized it. Similia similibus curantur.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was afraid I'd mispronounce it.
How did you first become interested in homeopathy? What grabbed you?
You mean to become a homeopath, or how I got interested?
How you got interested in science?
Oh, well, my first summer in college, I went to a class on alternative medicine. And the class had a number of different modalities coming through and talking about what they did. And for some reason, homeopathy was the one that just grabbed me. So I tried it, and it worked. It wasn't actually the first one I tried, but it's the one that worked.
I like to say I became a homeopath in 45 minutes.
In 45 minutes?
I went to a seminar, I looked at the repertory with all the symptoms, I looked at the materia medica with all the symptoms that each remedy can cure. I listened to the teacher and I said, my God, this is what I've been looking for. I was in my first trimester of chiropractic medical school.
Oh.
Yeah. What about cell salts and Bach flowers?
Well, those are two different things. Cell salts, and I have some examples right here, there are 12 mineral salts in our bodies that are very important to our health. In fact, when we die and all that's left of our ashes, they happen to be these 12 salts. So there was a homeopath, Dr. Schussler, who developed a system of medicine using these remedies in low potencies. And they are very effective in healing.
But why so few remedies when the main body of homeopathy has so many?
Well, this is just his system. And I don't know why he chose the 12, except that they're very important to the body. There's over 2,000 homeopathic remedies in the materia medica that's used. And I would say that the cell salts weren't inclusive of healing all of man's illnesses.
And what about Bach flowers?
Well, Bach flowers are flower essences, and they're not really made the same way as homeopathic remedies, though there are minute doses of the essence of flowers. But it's interesting to know that Dr. Bach, who started making these essences, was in fact a homeopath, and he left a very important body of work for us homeopaths. He studied the bowel nosodes.
And why are they good?
Well, they're useful in a number of diseases.
If somebody was interested in homeopathy, how should they start to inquire about it?
Well, I think one of the first places to go is to some of the national organizations, and I think homeopathy, the National Center for Homeopathy is the best one. They have a magazine called Homeopathy Today that's very written in very simple terms, and they offer a number of study groups around the world. And I host one of the study groups in Walnut Creek. And
if somebody wants to get in touch with you, what is your phone number?
My phone number is 925-826-3858.
And your website?
Is www.myranissen.com.
Spell Myra Nissen.
MYRANISSEN.
.com. Okay, enough of this intro to homeopathy. What are the constitutional remedies?
Well, a constitutional remedy can be any remedy that fits a collection of symptoms.
But it's not a remedy you would think right off the bat for diarrhea or headaches.
It may or may not be.
But when you're going for the, it may or may not be, but when you're going for the constitutional, what are you doing?
Oh, you're getting the remedy that best suits the whole person.
The whole person, including the personality?
Yes, it can include the personality as well.
So then you must ask patients some embarrassing questions.
Depends on the patient whether they think they're embarrassing or not.
Yeah, right? But do you ask them anyway?
I ask them anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's important for me to note whether they're embarrassed by the question.
All right.
That would give me a clue.
Sure, it would. I like to think, I give an example of pulsatilla as a constitutional remedy, where they're very changeable. And so George Vathulkas, the Greek homeopath, I think he told the story one time where this woman was extremely upset. She was crying and she was yelling at her husband, and the doorbell rang. And she went to the door and, oh, hi, how are you? I haven't seen you for a while. Nice to see you. Okay, here you go. That's what you needed. Shut the door. right back into it with her husband. She was able to change that rapidly. And other remedies can't do that. You take a natrum muriaticum made from salt, and they're going to hold on to those feelings. They're not going to release them. You know, like salt holds on to water, and it holds on to urine and feces and sweat. It holds on to everything. And yours are going to hold on to their feelings. What has been your constitutional remedy?
My constitutional remedy? I've had many.
Yeah?
Actually, the one that I found made the most marked change in me was Hira.
Hira. And what is it made of?
It's a plant-based remedy.
And what is unique about it?
It's a very isolated, lonely remedy. And it has the feeling I'm going to give away some of my state.
Care to share?
Yeah, I guess. Because it changed me profoundly, and I'm no longer the person that I was before I took it.
And you went from feeling isolated to being more in the world?
Isolated and not right, you know, not bad, but something was wrong with me.
But you didn't know what it was.
I didn't know what it was, but
I'll
I just
bet you there are a
felt
few
that.
hundred people watching the show right now who feel that way.
That's right, there probably are.
And they probably all want to go run out and buy Hira.
Well, it might not work for them.
Now, why is that?
Because you have to take more into consideration than that's just that emotion.
Right. You have to take in the
picture of the whole person.
The whole person. And what constitutes the whole person?
Just physically and mental, emotional, and generals.
So their physical symptoms, their emotional state, the mind.
The mind, the spirit, even what their fingernails might look like. And
how good their teeth are.
Their teeth.
Yeah. Eye, ears, nose, and throat, digestion, urinary, bowel. The whole works, right?
The whole works.
Wow. So, if you had a choice, if you were put in charge of world medicine, you are in charge now of the health of the world.
Okay.
Would you have people see homeopaths first?
I think I would.
I think most homeopaths would.
Well, actually, for me, I learned that about 15 years into homeopathy, I realized that I could go to a homeopath first. And
oh, yeah? It took that long?
It took that long.
Wow.
So that's, I mean, if it took me that long, I can understand why a general person who doesn't know much about homeopathy is skeptical.
Right. Oh, no, it's the first thing I do.
Oh, you go to the homeopath first?
Of course. Of course. Because if they made me the health megalomaniac of the world, everybody would see a homeopath first. And then the homeopath would decide whether they needed to go to an allopath, a chiropractor, nutritionist, an herbologist, Ayurvedic, psychologist, body worker. But the homeopath would decide.
The homeopath would decide.
Right. And of course, if it was national medicine and people weren't hogging patients like they are nowadays, then we could have them see 2 or 3.
That's right.
And it would be quite nice. Yeah.
Yeah, homeopathy is very complementary.
It is. Do you find that people who are on pharmaceutical medicines don't react to remedies well?
You know, it depends. I have good success. And it depends on the potency and the remedy. And it's interesting, sometimes you can't give the constitutional remedy, and sometimes in those cases. You have to open it through a back door.
Uh-huh. Now, I would think that phosphorus would have been a remedy that could work well for you. Has it ever worked well?
You know, I don't know all the remedies I was given.
Oh, they were kept a secret?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you do that with your patients?
You know, no.
I don't either.
No.
I always tell them what I'm giving them. But you have the soothing quality of a phosphorus. Yeah. You don't have any red in your hair naturally, right?
No.
No, but you're kind of tall.
I am tall.
Yeah. What are the miasms?
The miasms, wow, now you're taking me back to school.
You want me to jump in?
Yeah, jump in.
Miasms, gonorrhea, syphilis, tuberculosis, and the itch.
The itch, that's right.
Right. I love that idea of the itch in the psoric miasm, because the itch is the first time the toxin tries to come to the surface. And it itches. So when you scratch it, you spread it out. And now it wears away and it leaves the body. And if you lose the ability to itch, you're in trouble. Because that means you've lost the ability of your skin to bring things out to the surface. So that's how I like to look at the psoric miasm, along with all the other things that go with it. The tubercular miasm, you can recognize that when you see somebody.
That's right.
And what do they look like?
They have a narrow chest, and they might have a lot of lung issues.
And pale.
That's right,
They're
very
paler
pale.
Skin. Sometimes you can see their veins, you know, right through the skin, you know. Gonorrhea and syphilis have been diseases that our ancestors have most likely had. And so we don't like to think that the energy of those diseases is still within us. But as we're taking a homeopathic case, we'll sometimes come across a block.
That's right.
A blockage to the treatment, and so we have to go to the miasm. So miasm is inherited weakness, and we've all got them.
That's right.
To some degree or another. Now, I've been an interesting homeopathic patient, because the only remedies that were dramatic in my cure were miasmatic remedies.
Interesting.
I mean, each time it just brought me to a whole new level. And constitutionally, what would you give me?
Give you constitutionally?
Uh-huh.
Oh, gosh.
Now, I know you want to say lycopodium because I'm so handsome.
No.
But that one doesn't seem to
That
work.
doesn't fit you with
No.
you?
Any guesses?
Maybe calcphos?
Oh, am I a complainer?
No, not because of that.
No?
No.
Because of phosphorus, because of redness?
Yeah, you're coloring.
Right. I actually behave like a nux vomica.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
I
do.
would have never known.
Yeah, I really do. Asiaga gave me nux vomica.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Catherine Coulter gave me Ignatia and then arsenicum. Because like my father, I'm real persnickety about seatbelts. Gotta have that seatbelt on. And he actually had them installed in the cars that came without them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we called them Joe Safety.
Joe Safety.
And so that became my nickname when I was raising kids, you know. Do homeopaths leave homeopathy to go to another profession?
Some might. I don't know.
I don't think they do.
You don't?
Well, where would you go from this? I mean, it's such a nice and complete modality.
But I know homeopaths that have added modalities after they became a homeopath.
Yes. But I've never seen anybody just drop homeopathy and become a chiropractor or an acupuncturist.
I don't think
I've never
so.
seen that happen.
No.
It seems like this is the end stage healing modality. And when you get to it, you've gotten to the best there is.
And that's usually when people come to homeopathy, is after they've tried everything else.
Right. So we always get them at the end, and it makes it harder for
It
us
makes it harder.
to do a good job,
That's
too,
right.
because there's so much suppression that has taken place. In the few minutes we have left, Myra, what is suppression?
Well, suppression is what happens when you take allopathic medicines, because what they do is they mask the symptoms. So you feel better, but momentarily while the medication is acting, but it actually drives the pathology deeper into the system.
And I love to tell a story where if you take enough physical symptoms and suppress them deeper into the system, they become emotional problems.
They can be. There's a study on that, you know.
Good.
Children that had eczema that was suppressed, then they developed asthma, which is deeper,
Yep.
but still has to do with an air exchange like the skin. Then that was suppressed, and then they developed headaches, and then when that was suppressed, they developed depression.
So they had to have 3 physical diseases before it jumped into the emotional with the depression. And if you treat depression incorrectly with pharmaceutical drugs or recreational drugs or alcohol, right, then an emotional problem can become a deeper emotional problem like a psychosis. And if you suppress the psychoses, it can become a mental problem. Mathematics, sentence formation,
That's right.
Memory, which is Alzheimer's. So I think we're going to see more and more Alzheimer's as time goes by because of all the mental suppression, all the emotional suppression that's taking place.
That's right. There's a lot of people taking.
Give us your phone number once again, Myra.
Okay. My number is 925-826-3858.
And you're in Walnut Creek.
Walnut Creek, California.
Thank you for being on the program.